welcome to the FloTrack podcast presented by Wonderful Pistachios. I'm Livik Pone, joined with Ashley Tishins, Corey Mall, and Taliyah Brooks.
Hey,
We're
guys.
super excited to have her joining us. We're back in our normal spot. I feel like we've been bopping all over Eugene, but we're coming down to the home stretch of the U.S. Olympic trials, and we're coming off of a 2-day break. So we're about to enter the second half of trials. So like I said, we're back in our normal spot. We film here every day at 11 a.m. So come join us. And we're off of East Amazon Drive here at the paddock. So if you want to check out more of our content, go to FloTrack.com. You can check out our YouTube channels for all the mixed zone interviews, and also the content creator stuff is going up as well, and you can check out our social media channels and FloTrack website, so just check everywhere and you can find us. But without further ado, I am so excited to have Taliyah Brooks joining us today. She's an ASICS athlete who's punched her ticket to the Paris Olympic Games in the heptathlon, and she set a personal best of 6,408 points to finish third. So Taliyah, congratulations, and we're just like super excited to have you joining us today.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to go to Paris. I'm excited to be here. Like, I'm just excited. So thank you for having me.
All right, so I know you just said you're excited, but like in depth, how does it feel to just represent the U.S. going to Paris for your very first Olympic Games?
I think it feels surreal. I think it took a couple of days for it to hit. Like, my phone was going crazy. I was running off of 2 hours of sleep for like 2 days. But I think now it's starting to like settle in. It's like, oh, we've really did it. Like, you're going to the Olympics. You're an Olympian. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But it's wild.
Yeah. I hate to bring back a negative memory, but I saw you posted on your social media, I think it was yesterday or the day before, there was like a side-by-side of 2021 and then this year. And I went back to your social media last night, and you described a moment which was emotional, traumatic, heartbreaking experience back in June of 2021. You weren't able to finish and complete the competition because you like passed out due to heat exhaustion. Like, I remember it being like 110 that day or something like that. How have you grown from that moment? And was there any type of flashback going into the heptathlon like this week?
Oh my goodness. I feel like there's been so much growth, like physically, mentally, emotionally. I think after 2021, I probably went through like a typical, I don't want to say typical, but you don't make the team. You probably go through a super depressed state. I remember telling people like, oh, I see why people retire after Olympic years when they don't make it. And I remember the same day, like, people would walk up to me. It felt so insensitive at the time, but I know they meant well. Like, the next one's only 3 years away. And it came really fast. But I think mostly what I learned off the track was just that I'm more than just track. And I think during that time, that's kind of what I had to figure out. Like, once I didn't make the Olympic team, it almost felt like, well, what am I doing now? I had to find things like outside of sport that I was good at, things that I wanted to do. And I think too, I learned that everyone out there is deserving, and I'm not gonna get a spot just because I felt like I worked the hardest or I had the most consistent season up to that point. Like, no one's spot is guaranteed. Which but when it doesn't happen, it's like, well, why not? How could this possibly? And so I think going into this one, Coach Johnson just kept telling me, like, you're going to have to earn your spot. Like, we might think you're the best, we might think you've worked the hardest, but you're going to have to earn it through each and every event. And I think I really did that this time.
What were some of those things you learned to do off the track that you enjoyed during that period of like trying to, come back from that to where you are now? Like, what were some of those things?
Well, I'm really good at broadcasting and like media stuff. So at Arkansas, I do a lot of emceeing at the Razorback men's basketball and the football games. I've done some podcasts, so just things like that. I want to go into broadcasting after track. And so I've really just gotten to a lot of that kind of stuff. And it gives me stuff to look forward to, like when I don't have practice, when it's a game night, I really get into the outfits and the fans are into the outfits. So it's just something fun that I can do outside of track, not taking it super serious right now, but it's giving me some just, I guess, stuff on my resume, practice in front of live fans, in front of a camera, those kind of things. So that's what I'm good at so far.
You got incredibly strong in some of these events this year, the PR and the shot put.
That's crazy.
PR and the javelin. Your 800, you finished out in a 2:13, which outdoors was your fastest.
Yeah.
So, how did you get to these points where you were able to offer the strongest performances of your career?
Right. Well, after the meet, again, I told Coach Johnson, I was like, it's crazy. I'm going to use the word earned. Like, I earned my spot with all of my bad events, because my good events, terrible. Like the 1330, the 629, not good. But the throws, we've worked really hard on those. We brought in a new coach. His name's TJ Crater, so this is my first year with him. He's based in Washington, so a lot of our stuff is over FaceTime. Like, we FaceTime 4 times a week. He comes to Arkansas maybe like once a month, so that we can work in person. But I think he's made a big difference. I think in the past, I had really good coaches, but I think that some of the belief wasn't there, and some of the patience, because I don't really have an understanding of the throws. And so it would get really frustrating when we've been working on javelin for 3 months and I still don't know like basic concepts, or they just haven't stuck in my head. I would tell TJ when he came on, I'm like a 5th grader when it comes to javelin. So I'm telling you, like, you're gonna need some patience. And he's been super patient with me. He's been very encouraging. He's like, no, you can do it. Like, you have all the tools. You're strong in the weight room. Like, we just have to work at it. And this is the most I've ever thrown in my life. Like, just in general, I throw 4 days a week. I've never thrown that much, but I mean, obviously it worked. And so, and the 800, Coach Johnson told me, like, it's going to come down to the 800. Everything always comes down to the 800 when it means something. In any heptathlon, I mean, we saw it last year with Anna Hall and KJC, like, it comes down to the 800. So in practice, he was very intentional about that. We'd run an 800 workout after doing some other events. My teammates would cheer me on because we just knew. So coming in, I think that was my mindset. Like, I know I'm going to have to run a good 800. Coach Johnson's prepared me for it, and so I had confidence in that.
And then after the 800, I was out of the track, watching, and I saw you were just laying on the ground. Like, you were just like, it was one of those moments where I could just tell you just put your 100% effort into that. So as you're laying there, basically about to pass it on the ground after that 800, but you made the team, like, what's going through your head?
I think I was just relieved. I saw the times on the board and I was counting, but I was also tired, and I was like, am I not counting right? I need to wait for it to be confirmed on the screen. And I think I was relieved. I don't think I had the reaction that I thought I was going to have. Mm-hmm. And I think some of the tiredness was like more emotionally, I guess, than physically, because pace-wise, it's a pace that I run in practice all the time, but it just felt different. Obviously, it's a lot more on the line than at practice. And I didn't answer the question earlier, but back to like I felt more emotionally relieved. Last year, after the 2021 trials, I had like a lot of anxiety coming back to Hayward, and I think making the team last year kind of took away some of the anxiety that I didn't necessarily feel this year. And during, I think, the javelin, it was this year. That's the only time I really thought back to the 2021 trials. Like, TJ was in the same spot that Coach Johnson was in, like, when I passed out. So walking over there, I was like, oh gosh. And I had to remind myself, like, oh no, you're fine. Like, you're fine. You feel fine. Everything's fine. Let's just let that go out. So yeah, I think at the end of the 800, it was just more of like a emotional exhaustion than physical. I mean, physically I was tired, but it just felt like 3 years of emotion just kind of left you.
And then there you are, and you're looking up, and you just see your name in the top 3 spots, which is incredible. I'm about to ask you a really hard question, because the Arkansas Razorback, like, Coach Johnson, the training group, and also the ladies there, you're surrounded by a lot of top hogs, you know what I mean? And so if there was one person in your training group that you want to, like, give a huge shout out to as your biggest supporter, who is that person?
One person in my training
I know, it's hard. That's why I
group.
said it was a hard question.
That's so hard, but I'm going to go with Shamir because I feel like we've been on this journey together the longest. Everybody else in the group, like, loved them to death. They sent me super nice messages, like, before the hep, after the hep. They were all there for the 800. Like, I texted them after the jab and was like, I think I said, Avengers assemble for this 800, and they were spread out around the track. But Shamir, like, we've experienced the heartbreak together. Like, in 2021, we experienced together, and then Budapest last year, we both made the team, and then she got her medal. And so I think we just have a little bit more of the history, a little bit more of the heartbreak, the ups and downs. So I'm going to have to go with her. Yeah.
So Wichita Falls, northwest of Dallas, takes a village sometimes to raise someone, and you said you had a lot of support, including family and some former high school coaches too. Can you describe the experience of having some of that village come see you make this Olympic team?
Yeah, it was crazy. My family came the morning of that we were leaving for day one. I told them I was leaving the hotel at like 7:15. I was like, y'all can come by at like 7 a.m. just so you can see me, because I'm very much hands off when big track meet is coming up. So I hadn't seen them, hadn't really talked to them, and they were in Eugene for a few days. And I came out the elevator, and the first person I saw was my high school coach. And I was like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I came to surprise you. But Facebook has been going crazy. Like Wichita Falls Facebook, they've been going up. They've been blowing up my phone, my dad's phone. But it's a small town. I grew up there. I was born there. And so I think everyone has just really supported the journey from when we were younger, when we were little. So it feels really good just to represent Wichita Falls. They're already trying to like plan a parade and like a send-off and all this stuff. So super grateful for them and just for the family that I have back in even Fayetteville, Arkansas. Like that's become my second home, like in my adult age. And so my church family there has been like praying for me and sending me all these messages. And so I'm excited to represent them both.
For an event like the heptathlon and the multis, like it takes just so many different skills, both physically and mentally and emotionally, to go out there and be among the best in the U.S. For you, like what do you think? For you and multis, like how do you approach it, and like what do you think makes you that perfect fit for the multis and making Team USA too in that event?
Oh goodness, I think that I have a mix of different things that you need to be good at the hep. I'm fast, I'm strong. I might not be like the best in the throws, but I can make it up somewhere else. Really good hurdler and long jumper. Like I like to do those things openly. And so having just like being a hybrid, I guess, of it all, I think is what makes me really good at it. I think at this track meet, the thing that I'm most proud of was like my composure throughout. I came into the meet like 100% healthy. Warm-ups were going fantastic for the hurdles. Coach Johnson's like, you're ready to go. At practice, Akira Nugent, she's Jamaican, really fast in the hurdles. She would be dragging me at practice, but like she's running fast, so I know I'm running fast, like I'm ready to go. But then the mishap kind of happened in the hurdles, and then it all just went downhill from there. And I'm usually like very emotional, and I did have a few like panics, a few like, I don't know what you would call it, but panic attacks maybe throughout the hep, and Coach Johnson would just remind me like, you got it, you're prepared, this is Olympic trials, and we'd have to like bring it back together. And I think without Coach Johnson and TJ and Andy, the PT guy there, that would have been very hard to do. But yeah, I was proud of my composure and just pushing through each event, taking it one event at a time. Coach Johnson always tells me like there's 7 different events, but it's one event. Like there's only one winner. So just take it one at a time. Don't try to make up for something that you did earlier. Like if you're pressing in the high jump because you're trying to make up for the hurdles, it's probably not going to go that well. And through each event, I just try to be like that thing. So in the hurdles, I'm trying to be a great hurdler. In the high jump, I'm trying to be a high jumper. In shot put, I imagine I'm Ryan Krauser. So, just one event at a time.
It's one of those things where it's like you as like a multi have to do an event, and regardless of the result, you have to like put it behind you to then focus on the next thing. So I don't get how you multis do it, because that takes a lot of strength to do that. So I just applaud you for doing that. I have one of my final questions I have for you is the Olympic ring tattoo. I feel like that's been kind of a conversation. Is that something you plan on getting?
Oh,
and if
absolutely.
so, do you have a spot already where you want it to go?
I don't have a spot yet. I think I might actually like go get some semi-permanent or like the fake ones and just put it in some different places, because the older I've gotten, I have a few tattoos, but in my young age, like early college, I would just go get a tattoo just because. And now I'm almost 30, I'm like, why did I get that? So I want to make sure I place it like in a spot where I like these on my arm, so I think it's going to go on my arm somewhere so I can see it. And so other people can see. I want people to see it.
See, that was my next question. Do you want it visible, or do you want it like?
No, I want people to see it.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I'm proud of, that I've worked really hard to achieve. And so I don't know if I'm going to be so thirsty to get it before Paris, but I'm definitely getting the tattoo. Yeah.
I wanted to switch focuses too. You've made a world team. Now you're going to make an Olympic team. And recently we've had announcements of more championships outside of those 2 cycles, the Ultimate Championships and Grand Slam track. Now, Grand Slam doesn't have field events, it doesn't have multis at this point, but from where track is now, I think, how do you feel like the sport is trying to push it forward with prize money opportunities for athletes, maybe opportunities like the Ultimate Championships that's going to be sort of a additive to the Olympic and World Championship cycles with prize money? Do you feel like those Grand Slam, ultimately are going to help push the sport forward?
I do. I'm excited to see those things like kick off, see how it does help the sport. But I'm all for people like trying new ideas to get our sport in front of new viewers, in front of people that normally only watch it during the Olympic years. I do wish there were some field events, but I get the concept that it's just easier to run track events. It's easier to show those stories. But I don't think that should discourage us from not having field events. It's something me and Coach Johnson were literally just talking about this. I told him a few years ago, I don't remember what year exactly, but Paris Diamond League put on like a mini deck, I guess, for Kevin Mayer some years ago. They did 3 events. It was like maybe hurdles, high jump, and then they ran something. And so I think something like that would be cool every once in a while for the Heps to be involved like in these Diamond League events. I don't know if we'll ever see that again, but I'd be more than happy. Sign me up. Like they could do that at Prefontaine or something, but I think that would be cool. But I think definitely people like Noah, Sha'Carri, they're bringing eyes to the sport. And when you have someone like a Noah, like a Sha'Carri, they bring eyes to the sport. And then once you get people there, they see everyone else. They see Ryan Krauser. They see the Heps doing their thing. They may see, someone that they otherwise just wouldn't see. So I think, everybody should just keep doing what they're doing, keep bringing eyes, keep being you. I know sometimes there's a little controversy over just different things that people are doing, but it's bringing eyes. Like, keep doing it and get that check.
Get that check. Speaking of sponsors and partnerships, I have to ask you, you have an interesting partnership, I think, with 7 Brew Coffee. I don't know if I've ever seen a track athlete, having a partnership with just like a coffee shop. So tell me a little bit about that and how you got involved in that.
Yeah, so one of my old college teammates, he was on the men's team. His name's Gabe Moore. He was a deck. He works with 7 Brew. And I sent him a text one day. I was like, Gabe, I spend so much money with 7 Brew, like, hook me up. And he put me in contact with their marketing people, and they've been really good. Like, they're super supportive. They come to practice. They bring me, like, different stuff. I drink so much 7 Brew. I bring so much 7 Brew to the track, like, for my teammates, for Coach Johnson. But they're also, like, I'm really big into giving back to the community, and I volunteer with a group at the local high school in Fayetteville called Black Girl Excellence. And 7 Brew like sponsors those events. They bring drinks for all of the girls, and the girls really love it. They helped with like a Christmas campaign that I put together where we went shopping for some kids in the area. So they're all about me, but they're also all about like what I want to do and how I want to give back. And so I really love them for that, and I like that they support those endeavors.
What's your coffee order?
Well, I usually don't even go for coffee. For coffee, sometimes I'll just get a plain black coffee with sugar-free Irish cream and cold foam on top. But I like the energy drinks. It's not Christmas anymore, but they had a drink. It was a holiday punch. And it was like their, what is it called? Like an energy drink, and it had different flavors in it. I want to say it's like pomegranate and cherry. Ooh. It's so good.
That does sound good.
So I usually go for the energy drinks. But I get a little bit of everything. Yeah.
And it's different now. I want to talk about Fear the Fro real quick because we had like the half braids going.
We did.
With a little puff.
We
but
did.
Here, this is the Taliyah that I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, this is the Taliyah we'll see in Paris. I think me and Coach Johnson talked about it, and he just said this morning, he was like, okay, the fro can come back out for Paris. I think we just pulled it up like, oh, we mean business. Like, we don't need anything in our way. We got to bring the hair out of our face. Like, everything needs to be focused. So it was a different look.
Which I loved, by the way. I did love it.
It was cute. It just wasn't me. Like, even my sister, she was like, I had to look for you in the hurdles. I didn't see the hair. But, I mean, it helped get the job done. We probably won't see her again, but that's okay. That's okay. It was cute. It was still red. The green rubber bands, like, went with the outfit, but she's back.
Are we going for darker red? Or
Yeah, I
what-
think it'll be
what
a little
kind of-
darker. It'll be
Okay.
like a more vibrant, darker. I knew like weeks going into the trials that my hair was going to be put up because it was brought up like probably 3 weeks before trials. Like he meant business, and so I didn't really like update the red. I just kind of left it because I was like, well, it's going to be in a bun anyways. But no, it's going to be super red. Like, yeah, super red.
I love the deep red on you.
Thank
You
you,
also had
thank
a
you.
purple at one time, I think. Did you?
I did.
not?
I had
Okay.
a purple and I had blue, not to bring
Blue,
up sad, but after 2021, I still had to run the second half of the season and I dyed my hair blue because I was sad. So I just, it was blue, but yeah, the red I think is my look.
There's a new movie out. I think it's called Inside Out. It's Inside Out 2. It deals with all the motions that people go through the eyes of like your brain or whatever. And maybe you wear your heart on your hair.
Yeah, sometimes I think
Sometimes?
I do. Yeah, when my hair is red, because sometimes I think like the indoor season, I didn't dye it red. Usually I do, but when the red is like out, it's like, oh, I'm confident, I'm ready to go. So if my hair's red, y'all should be scared. If it's not red, we're still like working on some things maybe, but when it's red, like I'm ready to go. So yeah.
Number 1 Instagram follower. Who is it?
Someone that follows me,
Yes.
Saweetie follows me, which is crazy.
A rap? Is that a musician?
Yeah.
Musician?
Oh,
She follows me.
That is a
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah, she follows me. Suni Lee also follows me, so we talk a little bit. I
Gymnast?
don't even know
Gymnast?
her. Yeah, like we've never met, but we talk a little bit here and there, like wish each other good luck and stuff. So
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
Nice.
At one point, Shaq followed me. I don't know if he still
Wait,
does.
he doesn't anymore?
I don't know if he does or not. I'm just trying to think of like the super high profile people. I would have to go check. Now other people are probably checking, but yeah. Those are some.
That's funny.
I love that. Well, Taliyah, it's always so good to see you, but thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We're super pumped to see you in the red, white, and blue in Paris. I know I asked you this in the content lounge, but what is the one thing that you're looking forward to in Paris? Like outside of track?
Outside of track, this is gonna sound, I don't know, because the other day I was at the ASIC's house and Ben was like, we're gonna go on a shopping spree at the Onitsuka Tiger store. I said, oh, don't tell me that. I'm bringing a full empty suitcase. Because we don't have those stores in the US, I don't think. There might be one, like in New York or something, but I've never actually been inside of one. So I'm looking forward to that. Because it's non-track clothes. It's like actual, so I'm gonna get, all the European clothes are nice. So I'm gonna go over there, I'm gonna fill my suitcase up, and I'm gonna come back looking like a new me with my Olympic tattoos.
Yes.
So that's what I'm excited
Deep
for.
red hair.
The deep red hair.
Everyone fear it.
Yes.
Taliyah, thank you so much for joining us, and we're wishing you all the best.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, you guys, up next, man, as I said, we're moving into the second half, and of course the second half is going to feature one of the top athletes, not only in the US, but in the world. Everybody's going to be either sitting in their chairs or they're going to be standing up. Regardless, everyone's going to be inside Hayward Field at 6:49 p.m. The very first heat, lane 6, is going to feature Sydney McLaughlin-Lavroni in the 400-meter hurdle prelim. We've already seen her run 52.70 in her season opener at the Edwin Moses Classic meet. I feel like she's going to cruise through it, but you already know it's Sydney, so gosh, I just feel like regardless if she's cruising, it's just going to be fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see her hit the track. Obviously it's the first round, and I feel like she could literally probably just coast to 53, and it'd be like the easiest performance of her, of her season so far, just to get on to the next round, and she'd make it seem so seamless. But you're right. We've seen her run one 400-meter hurdle race this season. That was at the Edwin Moses Legends meet, 52.70, I believe, there. She's coming off an incredible performance at the New York City Grand Prix in the open 400, no hurdles, almost broke the American record there on that day, on a windy day. So I think this is just the start of, that's going to be the story of the back half of the trials. I think everyone's just waiting to see Sydney run.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a chance to see her approach to 3 rounds of action. The finals are Saturday, semifinals Saturday, finals on Sunday. Literally, the last event of the trials is her. And I think people want to see stars, and they want to see their favorite athletes. Sydney is that person for a lot of people. I think it's just a chance to see the best in action here. And how fast will she run? You know what I mean?
Great question. Because she was trying. I feel like she was putting in effort with that 52.70, but obviously time has passed. She's gone stronger, faster. We've seen her compete since then. So who knows? I think we're going to see a sub like 53, probably, or around 54, somewhere in that ballpark.
In the first round.
In the first round.
I
yeah.
will. So I'm almost more interested to see her after the race and whether she comes through the mix zone and decides to walk through and wait till the finals, or if we kind of see her mentality after each round, right, and we get a sense of what she's thinking, because that is a part of the strategy too, I think, for athletes trying to make it to the Olympics. Like, when do you talk? How much do you say? And that's things like, as journalists, we wait for when we're watching it. Taliyah Muhammad,
Yes.
400 hurdles as well. Like, there's a lot of ladies that are also going to be great conversations in this event.
Yeah, Taliyah Muhammad is in Heat 4, Lane 5. I already checked her social media. She's like, no long posts, just I'm ready to handle business. So I feel like Taliyah Muhammad is locked in. We're also going to see Anna Cockrell, who's in the 3rd heat. Jasmine Jones is in Heat 2. Akayla Garrett is here as well. She's in Heat 3. We also had a chance, as we just talked with Taliyah Brooks, but like off camera, she's here a little bit longer to support Shamir Little. It was huge questions because we were like, oh, Sham just, I was surprised to see her run the first round, and then she was like, okay, I'm not running anymore, but made it all the way through the final. So, but she's here. This is her primary event, so she will be in Heat 5. So a lot of big names ready to punch their tickets through this first round, and it's the first round. So
Jasmine's the one I'm most interested to see after an NCAA title. This is her first year running the 400 hurdles, but do you both believe that she has a chance to get to the team? Personally,
absolutely.
I do.
She looked very strong at NCAAs, and you've got to be riding off of some of that momentum. She ran one of the fastest, I think the fastest collegian besides Sydney in that 400-meter hurdle distance. And I think, if she's prepared well and rested enough and she feels ready to go, I definitely think she can make this team.
Yeah, I agree too. So again, 400-meter hurdles are going to kick off tonight, and it's the first round. But we do have a final that's going to take place later this evening. 14 women are going to toe the line for the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase, but only 3 are going to make it. So who are our picks? I know personally for me, going into trials, I had Chrissy Greer, Courtney Waymont, and Olivia Markovich as my pick. But after just kind of seeing the first rounds, I had to put Gabby Jennings now into the conversation. I think she looked very smooth. She's actually leading the field right now with a 9:23, and she looked very strong. Just kind of put down the hammer a little bit the last 100 meters. So I think this is going to shake up to be a really good race.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fast.
Yes.
Talking with the ladies after the first round, most of them said it's going to be 9:10 or faster. The Olympic standard here is something they do have to be shooting out for, and the Olympic standard is 9:23 here for the women. So most of these women are probably going to be well under it. Valerie Constine, I think, is another athlete that kind of made easy work through the first round, and she's probably one of the top contenders there. Chrissy, talking with her afterward, she said she's not trying to recapture what happened last year, right? She had a really good performance last year to make Worlds, and it's about moving forward and getting the most out of this situation, kind of leaving last year behind. But this year, with the door open, with Coburn out, and who's the other one? Freerick's out as well. I mean, it's wide open for these women to take their spots on that top 3 mantle, and I think she has a really good opportunity.
Yeah, Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I agree with the fact that there are just a lot of different. It's that year where you have the 2 big dogs out, the ones that have dominated in the distance in the U.S. for so long, and it's really opening doors, right? For many other athletes to come in and grab spots. I like the athletes that you mentioned that you were impressed with. I mean, I think Courtney Wayman's a favorite, I think, going into this, along with Olivia Markovich, who's been, really strong on the NCAA level. And then Gabby Jennings, you're right. She looks really impressive, I think, over the final and closing laps in the semifinals. So I think she's one to look out for. But again, I'm looking at this start list here. I mean, there's plenty of athletes here already with the Olympic standard. I think you're right. I think it's going to be fast. I mean, just naming other athletes, Maddie Borman's had one of the best seasons of her career, and I think she could get up in that mix. Valerie Constine as well, and Kaylee Mitchell also has the Olympic standard already. So I just listed probably 8 people there. I think it's one that maybe we see some surprises just because of the amount of people that could probably make that team with their fitness. Who knows?
So who are the picks?
For me, I have Gabby Jennings, Olivia Markovich, and Courtney Wayman. Those are my 3 after just seeing the first round.
I'm going to go Courtney Wayment wins, and then I'm going to go Gabby Jennings, and I may go Maddie Borman.
I'm going to go Constant wins, Gear number 2, and in third, I'll go Kaylee Mitchell.
Okay. I like
That's
We
just
all
a
have very
surprise.
different picks.
Yeah.
I kind of like
It's
it.
the 3K steeplechase.
Yes.
I mean, we understand just the variables that are in this race, and yeah, a lot of obstacles present themselves literally on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of recap of what to kind of expect for today, the first rounds for today, I feel like we're starting off like day 1 of the Olympic trials. You're going to have the men's 800 that's going to start off today, which is Thursday, the women's 15, men's and women's 200, men's and women's 400 meter hurdles, the men's 5K, men's discus, men's high jump, and women's long jump. Semifinals today are the 110s, and then the finals, as we just talked about, are the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase. But before we end this podcast, we have to talk about kind of breaking news. Elaine Thompson-Herah had shared on social media that on June 26th, she withdrew from the Jamaican trials. At the New York Grand Prix, she tore her Achilles tendon. And in her social media post that she made, she said that she had a very strong mindset to keep pushing and prepare for the national trials to set herself up for making her 3rd Olympic team, but her body is just not letting her. And my heart breaks hearing this because we never want to see an athlete like this, especially with the resume that Elaine has. And I knew just seeing her at Prefontaine, I was like, something doesn't seem right. And we're all like, don't worry, it's just beginning of the season. Typically she just moves forward as we should, but like she's really starting to battle through this injury. So personally, I want to wish her all the best because she's one of the best. She's one of the GOATs in history to do it. And to see her not make this 3rd team is honestly really heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, an Achilles tendon tear, I mean, that's pretty serious. I mean, I watched that New York City Grand Prix race where she suffered that tear, and it was just like one of those things where the back half of the race, all of a sudden, she just didn't seem right, and then she had to, after the race, she had to be carried off the track. And from there, I think it was pretty obvious that something had happened, injury-wise. And, like you said, it's unfortunate to hear. I mean, she's one of the fastest to ever do it in the 100, defending Olympic champion in the 100, and you never want to see that. But I guess now at the end of the day, it's going to be an interesting Olympics, right, where you're going to have a new Olympic champion in that event.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think Jamaica, there's one kind of salvo here is that you're going to start to integrate a different name, right? And you're going to have to start building towards the future for Jamaica. That top 3, gauntlet of women for Jamaica has been there for so long. You do have to start developing the next in line to kind of take their place. Obviously, wish her the best. Obviously, this is an injury that sucks, but they do have to start developing, and this is a good chance to do that.
Yeah, I agree, because like Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, she's announcing like this is her last Olympic game, so that's one other athlete, and then Sharika Jackson's kind of the other next one that's in the mix. But Jamaica always puts together a 4x1, so now that puts another big question of who are the other 2 athletes that are going to be on this relay. So it definitely changes a lot of dynamics, so makes this Olympic Games that much more interesting. But whew. Another great show in the books. We want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channels. Check out everything on social media, our website, so you can be up to date on what these athletes are thinking in the mix zone, and also some great contents from behind the scenes in the Content Lounge. We'll be here again at the Paddock at 11 a.m., and we'll see you guys inside Hayward Field.